can't hear you, Travis.
All right.
There you are. There you are. Travis, there you are.
We're live.
Dude, we are live. And this is the first time we've done this.
This is the first time we've done. You're so far away from me.
Mm-hmm.
What is that flag in the back? God, Mark.
Are you, is this your first time, Travis? This is my first time.
This is not my first time. Let me check the feed because last time we did this, things got a little cattywampus.
Yeah, we were
a little funny, didn't it?
It was weird. It was a weird Friday, Travis.
You're so far away from me. Can you touch the camera? Do like this. There we go.
There.
Okay.
How's that? Is that pretty good? No, that's my pointer finger. That's my index finger.
Oh God.
That's my naughty finger.
Okay, we need to stop. Folks, welcome to the Defiance Daily Show.
Oh God, I'm punch drunk, dude. I got up early this morning, dude. I started work at 5:30 this morning, bro.
Why?
Because, man, we got a lot of stuff to get done. We got a lot.
You wanted to say shit, but you didn't, dude. There goes Facebook doing its thing.
You know what? That's why we send them
multiple in, multiple drop out, multiple in, multiple drop out.
It's a Facebook psyop. I think it's like MK Ultra.
That is the weirdest. Hang on, let me check something real quick,
dude. It's. I'm just telling you, man.
Facebook's been acting a little funny with this, huh? They've been acting.
Well, you know what? I will tell you this, Travis, and I am pleasantly surprised and shocked. We have not been banned by any platform, and I thought we would have lasted about a week or two on Facebook, a week or two on YouTube, but no, we have been banned. I think X has been giving you some problems, right?
No, X has been fine. It's Facebook.
It's
because Facebook looks like it kicks people in and out. We had there was a bunch of people in here, and now they're just gone.
There's no telling. There's no telling. They need to join us on Rumble.
Let me do an introduction, Mark. God,
why do you have to be so technical all the time, man? Why do you have to be?
Man, we got to have our shit together, man.
Oh, you said shit.
Damn it. Well, there that goes.
It's 4th of July, bro.
So you were up at 5:30 in the morning. What?
No, I wasn't up. I started work at 5:30, bro.
But what were you doing?
Dude, we got lots of things to do, man. I had to post a bunch of stuff on Defiance Daily. That doesn't happen by itself. So I, spend a couple hours doing all that. Then got to get the chickens fed. You got to walk around, make sure the cattle are not running down the roads. And
that's a good point.
You're
taking care of business up there, man.
Really making sure that we don't have any chupacabras taken off with our.
Can't have the chupacabra. Should I do a closer up of? Yeah. How do you like that?
I don't know. That's kind of scary, bro.
You got scoot to the left a little more. I want to see only half your face. No. Yeah.
Right there.
Okay. I don't see your face at all now.
How about that?
We're losing listeners. Folks, welcome to the Defiance Daily Show. It is Friday, July 4th,
2025.
It is Independence Day, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget, let me see if I can get this going right, to check out defiancepress.com. That is defiancepress.com. If you are interested in becoming an author, check out the website at defiancepress.com. Hit the Get Published link if you have a manuscript and you're interested in submitting it for possible production and bringing your works to life. That's, again, the Get Published link there at defiancepress.com. Go through the prompts, watch the video, read the instructions, and submit your material. We'll get back to you. It takes a minute to get manuscripts reviewed, get them in queue, and Mark will be the one reaching out to you initially to have a couple questions, little Q&A session with you, and get a little more feedback from you. Mark, you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So when your manuscript is submitted, it goes through our review and selection department. They take a look. If the folks in the review and selection department feel like there's a market for this particular book, if it's well written, if it's in pretty good shape, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be expertly edited, but it needs to be the better condition your manuscript is in, the better chances of you being accepted. So we only accept a small percentage of the manuscripts that actually come in. Those that are picked, they send those to me via email. Then I set up an appointment, and then we go through. We talk about our different partner publishing packages, and at that point, it's just a matter of what your budget is, what you're wanting to accomplish, these types of things. But man, we've got a lot of super exciting things happening, Travis. We've got some best-selling authors popping up now. We've had a pretty good week with some very interesting folks, authors that have called in that we've picked their manuscripts, and now they're in the process of coming on board. And we've got some really cool authors and book titles coming up, buddy.
Yep.
It's
exciting things going on at Defiance Press and Publishing, folks. Again, that's defiancepress.com. Check out our authors and our books. Supporting our authors obviously supports them. In return, it also helps support the team here at Defiance.
And we're going to be up in Grand Rapids here in a couple weeks for the Realm Makers Expo.
Where's that?
Grand Rapids, Michigan. Guess what corporation is headquartered in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Travis?
Which one's that, buddy?
The Amway Corporation.
Oh, man. We got some stories there, don't we?
We got some stories. Travis and I were in Amway years and years ago, and we used to sell soap door to door. I used to take Travis around when he was but a mere child. I was an adult, and I put some dark sunglasses on Travis, and he pretended to be blind and a little autistic. And we would go door to door, knocking on people's doors, saying, "Hey, would you like to buy some soap?" And Travis would make grunting noises, and it worked.
I would usually have soap all over my body too.
Well, we put some soap in your eyes for the tear, because it was better if you were. It was better if you were crying. Yeah, because if you were crying, nothing like a blind autistic crying kid to tug at your heartstrings.
That'll make you buy soap in a heartbeat. We sold a lot of soap.
We sold a lot of soap, and
we've always been a good team.
We've always been a great team, dude. And thank you for putting up with me for that. Sure. And you definitely took one for the team every day. That was not easy, but you did it because you were focused and you had your eye on the prize, bro. It was
which was selling soap. And
it's selling soap, man. Dreamwork makes the teamwork, man. Teamwork makes the dream work. I'm sorry. That's there you go, boo. Yeah.
But also hit that contact link at defiancepress.com. If you have any questions, maybe you don't have a manuscript, you're interested about getting some assistance to getting that done, you can reach out at 281-581-9300. That's 281-581-9300. And again, we are Defiance Press and Publishing. You're watching the Defiance Daily show today. Glad you're with us on this July 4th holiday. It is Independence Day.
Are you going to be firing off some fireworks later today there, Travis?
No, probably not. I might, but it's kind of rainy over here, and
that's perfect for fireworks. You ain't going to burn anything down.
Just getting home with the family and just spending time at home. Simple stuff, lounging around, playing with the kiddos. I'll probably get some fireworks on the way home for the kids.
Yeah, man.
Setting off the bottle rockets and all that stuff. Yeah, other people will be doing it, so I don't need to spend money on it. What did my dad used to like to say, I don't want to go pay to blow up money. Because you're basically he's like, you might as well just take $100 bill and light it on fire. There's your firework. That's what it is.
I agree.
So, but chances are I'll probably get some little things for the kids.
They're
so small though, So we'll see how that goes. And
you can destroy their eardrums early on, bro. Then they'll never know.
I don't want to be deaf. I don't want to be doing stuff like that.
Oh, you don't? Okay. All right. I get it. You're one of those helicopter parents. You want to?
No, I just don't want to blow their eardrums off.
Oh, okay. I mean, I blew mine out.
I did let oh no, I gotta be never mind. I won't say.
Travis.
I do get a little adventurous with the kids. Sometimes my kids are very young. They're both
They're little.
They're very little.
Yeah, they're little.
But I have this habit of wanting to have them
reaction.
explore things that are well beyond their age,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it scares the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But I like it, it's I want them to, I want them to ride on dirt bikes and do, cool stuff, but it's something my wife's they're too little. Just you gotta wait. You gotta wait. They got like simple stuff. It's like, I don't what's the fun in that? Let's get a ATV for TJ and Lily.
Yeah. Just
Watch
put
a
a helmet
Brookside
on them.
Ranch. Put a helmet on them and
Yeah,
let them
put a helmet
go.
on 'em.
I'll
Yeah.
get a little remote control one. I'll let them run up hills and do all that. Freaks her out, man. So I got to be better about that. I go beyond the age group that they're in to do it. And they
Well, you
just,
see that age range on the game
I
boxes,
ignore
and you're
it.
like, screw that.
That's what is
That's
Daniel like?
gay.
That's communist propaganda.
I agree, man. Yeah, let's do some mutton busting. That's what we need to do. Bring them up here.
They can just give them Shakespeare. Let them start reading it.
Yeah, man. Come on.
Just throw them in there, man.
Yeah, just get them started, man.
So
Throw
I
'em in
do,
the
I
deep
do,
end.
I do got to be careful with that. TJ's a little more. He's still super young, but my daughter, man, I'll get on the dirt bike and
She'd
she's
be all
ready to
for
go.
it. She's
She
ready to
will
go.
scream, "Go faster!" And I'll look around first.
Yeah,
All right, we'll
yeah.
go real fast.
It's
So
like
every time
that's
she does it. People don't know what she's talking about. Dad, I want to go real fast. Like, be quiet.
yeah. She's saying go faster. People are thinking she's saying you bastard, and they're going, that little girl has a potty mouth. What is going on?
Same thing. A lot of fun. Kids are a lot of fun, man. But now I'll probably get some small fireworks. I know the neighbors on the street, they'll end up blowing up the big stuff. So we'll
Do you get
probably
like the snakes, the charcoal snakes, the ones, that
I call them the poopers.
oh
It looks like
okay, that's one
poop,
thing, yeah.
poop coming out your butt.
Or the I don't know.
So much for being
It
professional.
sounds like you got problems there, buddy. Those are digestive issues.
I'm
How
telling
about
you,
the smoke bombs?
the
How about the
snakes look
smoke
like.
bombs? You like the
Oh, I
smoke
love
bombs?
the smoke box, especially if you get the different colored ones
Yeah, dude. What do you
and you
think?
like throw them out there. Like I'll be running around with the kids. Like I was on New Year's. Charlie's coming. Throw it out there. Go run through the smoke. And he's like, no, don't do that.
I'm not going to say who did this, but I will say that I know of somebody who, during some weekend excursions with Marine Corps,
Oh God.
with the reserves,
Yeah.
they were handing out CS grenades. It's tear gas.
Right.
And they weren't doing a really good job of keeping track of them. And so I'm just going to say a couple of those ended up in somebody's truck.
Oh,
and
dude,
were
that's messed up.
taken
That's so
home.
messed up.
And so I think it was the next year for July 4th. People were doing smoke bombs and all that kind. Somebody had a bright idea to take one of those out there and pop it. And it would just look like white smoke, right? Well, when the kids started running through that was
Oh
funnier
no,
than that
dude.
was, dude.
Oh
That was
no.
so freaking funny.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's not
if
good.
you ever been CS'd, your nose starts squirting snot. It's not that your nose runs; it's like project. I'm not.
Don't you have to take the kids had to go to the hospital, right?
No, dude. Just hose them off.
Just hose them off. Just let them get
No,
through
it's
it,
not.
man.
No, it's not fatal.
get
No,
through
but it's projectile snot coming out the noses. It's like
That
just
sounds pretty awful, bro.
squirting out. It's awesome,
Hey,
dude.
scoot to the side. I got to get up close to your face. You're not here, dude. Go
Well,
this way. Go the other way.
I don't want to get too close, man. You make me
Go
nervous.
to the right.
That's my left. You
Go
wanna
to your left.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
That's to my left. This is
Come
going
here.
to my left.
Come here.
Shut up, man. That is so gay.
You gotta. I just want to see. Show me that potato, man. Show
What?
me that bud. Your head.
No, I'm not, dude. Okay, everybody.
No,
Travis
you're
is
like,
freaking out
look
because I got my summer cut.
You see
And
on
he's like-
screen, like you only see half of your face, is what I'm saying. Like I got to do this. There we go.
Well,
See, that's better. That's
okay.
better.
Well, I'm at a desk here and I've got leg room issues.
Well, look, speaking about issues, Mark, I'm going to let you. We haven't had Eleanor Gracist on in a minute.
Oh, are you? Is
And
she here? Is she there today?
people are struggling with Independence Day, so there's
They
a lot of
are.
videos going around on TikTok of people freaking out that it's a bad day for a lot of folks in America today. So
It is. It's
she's
a
going to
rough.
come on later, and she's going to,
How did you
we've got
get? How did you get?
she came to me. She just
Really?
wanted to emphasize that, on a day like this, it's important that
Was she looking for Roger? Be honest.
Roger hid when she came into the office. She was actually
So she
she was
came to
at the
the.
door. Yeah, this morning she was at the door.
No, come on
Yeah,
now,
I'm not kidding.
dude. I feel like
So
okay.
naturally,
I know
Roger's
what's
not
going
here
on here.
today. So I'm flying solo here.
Are you serious, man? Roger didn't come in
Roger,
today.
he
You gave
just
him the
said,
day off.
I text him. I'm like, dude, you're not at the switchboard. What do you do? He just texts back, sick. That's all he said.
Oh, he's sick, all right. He's
Yeah,
sick in the head.
he's
So
sick in the head.
Eleanor, Dr. Gracist came up to the office, and why would
She just wanted to meet me at the door, she said, before I got into any kind of like festive spirit, she called it, about this oppressive day, like Independence Day. And she wanted to make sure that our audience and people who are offended by our broadcast get the opportunity to hear from some experts and get some guidance. And so we're gonna do that for folks today. We'll bring her on
wow. I'm
and do
surprised
that.
that she even okay. All right. I think she was looking for Roger, but
I think that was part of it, but
yeah.
I don't know how Roger must have saw her at the door and then just ran, dude, because he is gone, dude.
Yeah,
He's
I think
gone.
I
He's
think he's
gone.
confused now.
But
I
I
think it
think it's
affected
good
him.
because last week we had some technical issues, so he just wasn't in the right mindset. Something tells me that she might have been around. We just didn't know it.
Yeah, we didn't know it. Well, it's okay. She's kind of like a
So
cat.
we'll do that, but we do have we've got a good broadcast lined up for you folks. Happy Independence Day. Hope everybody's being safe out there with the fireworks and the drinking and all the fun stuff in between. We'll go through the background of today's date in time and history. Mark's got some interesting feedback and some of the stories that we were talking about this morning. Very interesting stories. It's very incredible to think about the age of people involved in the American Revolution back in the day, as well as you were talking about whose letters written by whose letters were
Oh,
you talking about by the 10-year-old?
so Travis and I were talking this morning. We often talk about one of the things that we talk. Well, we got on the subject of who's millennial, who's and who's Gen X,
Unfortunately,
and
I
who's
am a millennial
and
by
I'm
dating
a
classification, and you are a boomer.
I'm a boomer. I'm the youngest boomer. I'm the
You're a
tail
bona
end,
fide boomer.
1964. I'm
You're
a
on the
bona
tail end,
fide.
is what I read. Yeah,
Mm.
you're on the tail end, the good
But
tail.
one of the things that we talk about is how much different our society is today, and how kids are just coddled and babied. And I was just saying earlier before we went live that when I hear adults talking about 17-year-old children
Mm.
or children in high school, it just makes no sense to me. It sounds so retarded. It makes me look at adults going,
What'd you say?
"Oh, you heard what I said? They're
Man,
full retarded."
Eleanor she just stomped away.
Well,
And
she's gonna
she
have to
hates
get
it when you
over it.
talk like that, man. You know not to offend her like
Well, she's gonna have to. This tough love it is. Tough love.
Yeah.
Okay, tough love it is. So anyway, it reminded me, in being that this is July 4th, it's a famous letter. It exists. You can see it in some museum up in Massachusetts, either the Adams home or something. But it was written by a 10-year-old John Quincy Adams to his father, who would become President John Adams. And the date of this letter was June 2nd, 1777. John Quincy is 10 years old. Now, I'm not going to read the whole letter because that's bad radio. But let me just give you a taste of this and understand he was not the exception. He was the rule. This is how kids were in 1777 in colonial America. So let me find it here real quick, and then let's see if I can just give you just a little taste. Let's see here. the struggles with community here is John Quincy Adams to John Adams, 2 June 1777. And here's the letter. Love to receive letters very well, much better than love to write them. I make but a poor figure at composition. My head is much too
God.
fickle. My thoughts are running after birds, eggs, play, and trifles, till I get vexed with myself. Mama has a troublesome task to keep me steady, and I own I am ashamed of myself. I have but just entered the 3rd volume of Smollett, though I designed to have got it half through by this time. I have determined this week to be more diligent, as Mr. Thaxter will be absent at court and I cannot pursue my other studies. I have set myself a stint and determined to read the 3rd volume half out. If I can but keep my resolution, I will write again at the end of the week and give a better account of myself. I wish, sir, you would give me some instructions with regard to my time and advise me on how to proportion my studies and my play in writing, and I will keep them by me and endeavor to follow them, as I am, dear sir, with a present determination of growing better. Yours, John Quincy Adams.
That is an incredible
10-year-old.
That's insane.
10-year-old.
That's
Okay.
insane. Very well studied, well polished letter.
These kids, now this is before public
incredible.
school.
Just
So
incredible.
this again goes to prove my eternal point that public school is designed for one thing and one thing only, and that is to make kids stupid. And that's what it does very effectively. But I just think as a culture, we just dumb our kids down. We have so
10-year-olds don't write letters like that.
because we have no expectations for 10-year-olds to write letters like that.
No.
And so guess what? That kids perform to the level that we expect.
Well, and the standards that we expect, which have
And it's
been
lazy
lowered,
parent. It's lazy parenting is what it is.
lowered standards.
Yeah. Because we just send them to school and then we can blame it on public schools and public school teachers say, well, they're not doing their job. It's lazy, horrible parenting, and it's not wanting to raise your kids. There was a time when people literally raised their kids, and it meant something that your child was not just able to read a primer, but to be able to write and to articulate and to put thoughts together and understand things like the Constitution. 10-year-olds were when the Declaration of Independence came out and it was sent around the colonies, 10-year-olds were reading it, and they understood it.
Yeah.
They understood it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So anyway,
this marks the 249th anniversary of the birth of the American nation.
We're heading up on 250, bro.
Heading up on 250.
250 next year, bro.
250 next year. So there's been a lot of stuff going on in the news cycle. I do want to try to emphasize, the news cycle. My God, man, there's always stuff going on. The biggest news, of course, being there's just always something to freak out about. And a lot of times, you know how I feel about a lot of news cycles. It's always the stuff they want us talking about versus the stuff we need to talk about. Because there's an emotional tinge to every news cycle and narrative that's out there. I've been being sent some weird stuff by different people over the week.
What do you mean weird stuff? By weird, are they weird people?
People are losing their minds over this immigration stuff and this Florida
alligator Alcatraz
stuff.
Dude, I freaking love it.
Like Democrats are showing up to the prison demanding to be let inside, and you just wonder, that passion could be directed towards, alligator Alcatraz. It does sound a little ridiculous, but at the same time, I don't really care about hardcore prisons for hardcore criminals, especially repeat offenders and things like that. I mean, imagine if there was this much energy towards like homeless veterans or hurricane victims or there's just a lot of low-hanging fruit out there, but this is the narrative that we're supposed to go about. We're supposed to have this bleeding disposition for people that enter the country illegally, commit crimes. And it's a crime in and of itself, just coming here illegally. And then now we're supposed to have all this sympathy now that, well, and after apparently that's what's covered in this big, beautiful bill is there's going to be a lot of deportations happening over this. And this was always the plan. It wasn't just
What I voted
targeting,
for.
criminal. That was the first target. But eventually, yes, this was going to expand because, in the quiet part is being said out loud. Initially, this was a humanitarian angle. There was no angle about illegal immigrants having, voting capability. And then that all crashed on its head around 2018, 2019, when it was very clear they're getting state IDs, they're getting Medicaid. They're just getting they're getting more than even Americans who are born here for multiple generations are getting. And they're also voting. So, and they're moving the needle on a lot of these elections. And there's been some things coming out about this. And we covered this. What show was that, Mark? That might have been 2 shows ago. There's so many countries that are absolutely hardcore about immigration policy compared to America. They will cane you in certain countries. You will be imprisoned for years on end if they can't deport you out. But
Some will shoot you on sight.
Yeah, some of them will shoot you on sight. They don't play around with that because the whole nature of having borders and having a country is unique and of its own right. And there's a reason for these things. But now, LA, there's a bunch of people protesting. Some of them are saying the quiet part out loud, which is these are a bunch of losers, man. This is a segment of society that doesn't work. They've got all this free time. And the quiet part was said out loud. Let me see if I can find this video.
Can I say something about as one that has personally had a pet alligator, and I know a little bit about alligators?
Yes, please
Can
indulge.
I address the whole alligator Alcatraz thing? Which, first of all, I think it's brilliant. I don't know who came up with it. I don't know if Trump came up with that, or if DeSantis came up with it, or if Tom Homan. It is brilliant, and it sounds amazing. And I think it's just, but here's the truth about alligators. Now, the American alligator does not go around eating people.
No,
it does happen.
We have some in the back here at the office. They're not going to.
They just don't go. Now, crocodiles, completely different story. But alligators, they're harmless. I'm telling you, there's no danger. And I think it's funny because of all these freaking commies and all these effeminate males losing their mind. Oh my God, they got people down there with alligators and they're going to get hurt. They're going to get eaten and they're going to get bit and it's going to be horrible.
Why are you gay?
What exactly? And that's what we're dealing with. And every time we're dealing with that, it's just, I just can't deal with it. But anyway, I just thought it was a brilliant strategy just to drive the commies in the whatever they are crazy. I'm having the time of my life watching this. It's so funny. It's just awesome.
Let me play this clip here. So this is from this is an LA protester. Let me see.
LA, is that Los Angeles or Lower Alabama?
You know what it is.
Los Angeles?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Let me see if I can get it here.
The City of Angels.
The City of Angels. Oh, Mark's already. He's got his.
I think I've seen this.
Seen this one?
Oh no! I saw this on Twitter this morning.
Trump is so dumb for pissing off LA because we don't have jobs. Like none of us have jobs. We have like COVID level amounts of free time to protest, my dude. He's so dumb.
Yeah, there we go.
And there it is.
Yeah. No, it's
so dumb.
She's not lying.
Man, just pissing off all these unemployed people. Can you believe the stupidity?
No, it's not stupidity. It's
Mom.
actually brilliant. It's brilliant. These communists, man, and she is right. There are untold millions of people that are not working, but yet they're eating. That is a huge, enormous problem. And if we don't have something that puts a stop to this really quick, we can't keep doing this. We just can't keep passing. I know the big, beautiful budget and all that, but the bottom line is,
Yeah, that's
it's
the
getting
other
bigger.
thing,
It's
too.
getting bigger. It's getting big, and we can't stay on this track. It can't. We can't do it.
Yeah, and I know before the passage of the bill, and there's elements that I don't agree with it. People like Roger Stone say it's good. We know how Elon Musk feels about it. I mean, now there's discussions about creating what's called an American Party. So
Yeah.
just splitting the GOP and the Democrat. I mean, if you want a surefire way to ensure Democrats get elected for the foreseeable future, just keep going, because it's silliness. Unfortunately, the system we got, I mean, we're kind of it's the hand we're dealt, and that's part of the reason. That's the other part too. It's part of the reason we keep going down the same track, and nothing ever changes. The GOP is a constant disappointment to people who vote for them, and to the left, they are a constant reminder that we are in a Nazi fascist society to the standards of unemployed people who are protesting shit they don't know about in their free time.
I'm all for all of a sudden. I'm all for. I mean, I think New York is going to be an interesting place that this is going to be tested, where they're going to have a radical Sharia Muslim import from another country that is a full-blown communist that's going to destroy New York City. I think it would actually be better if the GOP was split up and the communists just took over everything and our country just went, because I think the reason why we're in the mess we're in today is because the fall is too gradual. And that's why.
Oh yeah.
It's
Well,
too
what is it?
gradual.
That was what the Fabian Society talked about, is the gradual.
Yeah, we won't win if it just stays in this
Yeah,
gradual
if they
course.
just come out, with the
It
velvet
needs
glove
to
off the
be
iron fist, people will resist it. But the way this is going, just slowly chip
just
away,
slow.
decade
Now,
after decade,
if we
and
wake up
before you know
tomorrow
it,
morning and
you
you
got
can't buy
the
groceries, then we'll fix it.
yeah.
We'll fix it then. Now it's going to be ugly. It'll be something the world has never seen, but we'll
Yeah,
fix
so
it.
I want to go over some bold strategy real quick,
That's a
because
bold strategy.
there's
I'm
some bold
I make you
strategies
nervous,
out
don't
there
I?
with some of
Travis
these.
gets nervous when I start talking about solutions, man.
Well, I don't. You're already kicked off LinkedIn, Mark. So
I know, but that was because of camel
we got
toe.
a huge campaign going on there, and I still can't get over that, man.
That was
But
camel toe, bro. They're a bunch of commies over at LinkedIn.
what do we do with comment? Don't answer that.
Dude, I tell you, I got my shirt full of commie
Okay.
for mommy.
So we got Hakeem Jeffries has been
Hakeem.
filibustering.
Hey,
Hakeem?
Travis.
Hakeem.
Hakeem.
Well, we've got Hakeem Jeffries is he was filibustering the big beautiful bill, and which is very interesting because it's like, I don't think they forget about their positions. They just know that their base is too stupid to actually understand the hypocrisy of a lot of this stuff. So let me see if I could share this one, and you be the judge here.
By any means necessary, including reforming a filibuster rule that is dripping in racist history in defense of slavery and Jim Crow.
I think he went over 15 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. I think he had two pee-pee breaks. Or he had a soda can or something up there.
Woo!
He was able
Bold
to
strategy, man. Bold
bold
strategy
strategy.
to use that
So,
Jim Crow tool to
yeah, the
do your
Jim
thing.
Crow and the slavery. I mean, how exactly is that?
Entertain
Can you?
where that's going.
But people buy it, dude. People buy it. You'd be
Well, it's
shocked how many
easier.
tens of millions of people that live in this country buy that.
Let's see.
We're talking tens of millions, maybe 100 million people. They buy that.
Well, there was a let me see if I can find this one. There was a news segment that came out that let's see. It showed a poll of people that were proud to be. Here we go. Let's see if I can. I wonder if it'll let me air the whole segment. Let's see if I can get it done here, Mark.
Any
Marcus.
means necessary,
You can't see it.
including
I
reforming
know.
a filibuster.
Hang on. I got this little screen over here. It's easier to do this when you're here.
You miss me, don't you, Travis? Go ahead and admit it. Just tell the world. Tell the world you miss me. Go ahead.
I miss him.
You're afraid. Your wife's going to hear that and she's going to get jealous.
Not as much as I miss your hair, dude. What a disappointment, man.
Dude,
We won't get into that.
Summer
'cause
cut,
that
bro.
really, man, kicked off
Summer
a
cut.
LinkedIn, and then your beautiful hair is just gone. I don't know
Dude,
why
it
you
grows
do
back.
that.
It'll be back in about 6 months.
Well, back to this topic real quick. Check this out, Mark. You're gonna like this one.
Happy 4th of July. And today on our Independence Day, I'm looking into whether or not Americans feel proud to be an American. And as it turns out, Democrats, their percentage who say they're proud to be an American has fallen through the floor. What are we talking about? Take a look here. Democrats' pride to be an American, extremely or very proud. In 2015, look at this. 4 out of 5 Democrats were extremely or very proud to be an American. That number has plummeted to just 36% now in 2025. A low this century has fallen by more than half since 2015 as Donald Trump has become, of course, president once again this year. Now, what is driving that decline? Well, a lot of it has to do with age. What are we talking about? Well, Generation Z Democrats, proud to be an American or not. Of course, Generation Z, born since 1997. Look at this. Only 24% of Generation Z Democrats are extremely or very proud to be an American. That is actually lower, Erica. That is lower than the percentage who say they have little or no pride to be an American at 32%. I just never thought I'd see these numbers based upon where we were a decade ago, but that's exactly where we are. Now, if Democrats have extremely less pride to be an American than they used to, what about Republicans? Well, this is where the trend line gets interesting, because with Republicans, there is no trend line. In fact, take a look here. Republicans' pride to be an American, extremely or very proud. In 2015, it was 90% back when Barack Obama was serving his second term. Now in Donald Trump's second term, it's basically the same percentage, 92%. So Republicans still are extremely or very proud to be an American. Democrats, on the other hand, have seen their numbers fall through the floor, led, of course, by the youngest generation, Generation Z. We'll see how these numbers turn going forward. But the bottom line is whether or not the folks out there are extremely or very proud to be an American. I'm extremely or very proud to be with you, Erica.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. And guess what, Mark? It's the younger crowd that's really getting radicalized.
I have a question.
Absolutely hating where they're born.
I have a question.
What do you think? What do you think their alternative is, Mark?
Well, number one, words mean things.
Here we go. Mark's about
What is an American?
brand.
Because here's the thing. If somebody says they are anti-American or they're not proud to be American, I want to know, what do they think an American is? Because there is a very specific definition for what an American is.
Explain.
There are very few Americans in the United States. Most of the United States is made up of U.S. citizens or non-citizens. There's only a tiny handful of Americans. American is an ideal. It is not a geographic location. And this is why I'm a stickler on this stuff, because when polls like this come out, they're meaningless, because you first got, okay, what does it mean to be an American? And I guarantee you 99% of the people that were involved in the polls, the Republicans and the Democrats, most Republicans can't give you a definition of American. They can't either. They don't know. I'll prove it by this. People say, what do you mean? If I live here, I'm an American. No, you're not. No, you're not. America is the only place in the world where you can be anti. For instance, if you go to Australia, there's no such thing as, oh, that's un-Australian.
Right.
You go to China, there's nothing that's un-Chinese or South America, because America is not a geographic location. It is an idea. It's a thought process. It is who you are and what you believe. Americans are owners. Americans are entrepreneurial. Americans own businesses. Americans are freedom oriented. Americans want nothing from the government. If you believe in Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and all these, that's un-American. You're not American. Americans are a tiny percentage, unfortunately. Okay, Americans produce 10-year-olds like John Quincy Adams because Americans are interested. If you read the Declaration of Independence, and Thomas Jefferson pinned this phrase, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You can walk into it, and I've done it many times. I've done it at Tea Party meetings with nothing but super excited Republican voters. What does the pursuit of happiness meant? What does that mean? As Jefferson pinned it in the Declaration of Independence, what does the pursuit of happiness mean? I couldn't find anybody that knew. All the responses I got from, these are all Republicans, God bless them, all MAGA people. What means we can do what we want to do, and what makes us happy, what brings us joy. And it's like, no, that's not what he meant at all. In fact, it was just the opposite of that. What Jefferson meant, and what was known at the time in the colonies, when Jefferson pinned that in the Declaration of Independence, not only did all the founders know exactly what he meant, all the colonists did as well. When they read that, or they heard that document read to them for the first time, when they heard life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, they knew exactly what Jefferson meant. And what it means is, and what Jefferson meant by it is, the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of wisdom and virtue. If we as human beings pursue wisdom and pursue virtue, we will eventually be fulfilled. We won't be like pleasure seeking. And pleasure seeking always leads to bad stuff. Just pursuing to be happy is always a disaster. And they knew that. You don't pursue being happy. That's insanity. No, you pursue wisdom and you pursue virtue. And if you do that consistently and long enough, you will be fulfilled.
Yeah, wasn't that part of the kind of the idea behind the pursuit of it? It's always a pursuit. It's not a permanent state of being.
There's no arrival.
Especially
no
back
arrival.
then, you think about what they went through back then just to survive.
Yeah,
It was a constant pursuit, and it was a pursuit.
There was no concept of happiness like we think today. You hear people all the time saying, "I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy." Really, that is so foreign. That has only come about since the light switch. Before the light switch, that's just stupid.
Yeah, it's a complacent way of life, as if that's the only state of being, and it basically eliminates the nature of purpose.
Absolutely. If I'm not happy,
you're here and what
nobody's going to be happy.
Doing, and that's right. It's like, well, it's impeding on my happiness and all this kinds of thing. It's like, well,
and that's un-American
for you. Does it? All the questions you ask about your personal life and things that are going about, the spirit of those founders and those documents compared to the spirit of today is all about just being bombed out of your brain and doing nothing.
That's why I say there's very few Americans. I would suggest to you that there are more Americans living in China than there are in the United States. Because remember, being an American, it's not geographic. It's a mindset. I promise you, there are people in China that want freedom more than most people in the United States. We have some freedom left. We're living in a tyranny. And what I mean by that is, again, you have to understand what the term freedom means.
Oh, that means you hate America.
Well, yeah, that's no, I don't. I actually love America, and I wish we had America, but America's been dead since the Civil War. I wish we had America. The reason why we have things like the Texas nationalist movement is because we're tired of living in a tyranny. And if Washington can't be fixed or won't be fixed, then here we are. But anyway, I digress. But the point is when I hear these polls saying, well, these people are proud to be an American, these people hate to be, what I would say is none of those people that were even polled even understand the definition of what it is to be an American. And that is the real problem. And I challenge you folks, if you go to any sort of an event with who you think are conservative people, Tea Party meetings, things like this, ask the simple question, what's the definition of being an American? Here's another question you can ask. What's the definition of freedom? And watch what happens. You get blank stares. You get all kinds of weird, and it's always something centered around it's always, I can do what I want to do. Well, it means that I can pursue being happy. And it's like, you're so lost. This is why we're in the mess we're in. We've lost, and it goes back to public education. These concepts that we're talking about right now, this was all known in the early 1800s in America by every 10-year-old kid. They could have this conversation with you and explain freedom and explain what it is to be American. But once public school hit, all that went away. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. So I'm not encouraged or discouraged by that poll. I think that poll is pretty stupid, especially when you're dealing with people. You're asking them questions about a word they don't even have the definition for. But it doesn't surprise me. Democrats, by their very name, are communists, and they're evil and they're satanic. So I wouldn't expect them to love anything about them. They're anti-American. They are the enemy.
And that's the it's apparent in the younger generation having the lowest amount of understanding and respect for the nation, and
Because they've been
all the
propagandized.
ideals that found it because of it's
Public
by design.
education.
Public education is a big part of this.
Their
I did want to
grandparents,
highlight
their
some of
parents.
these
Yeah.
some of these articles here because the Guardian wrote this one, and let me see if I can share my screen. How do we celebrate the 4th of July? Oh, they changed the headline. The original headline. This is so funny how they do this.
They heard you were going to talk about it on the show, dude.
Yeah, the original article's headline was how to celebrate the 4th of July if you can't deal with America right now. And it went through different ideas of how to how to basically let's see. Imagine this. For a day like today, people were off work and, it's supposed to be a happy weekend. It's supposed to be a happy day. We can engage those directly affected by injustice in the decisions that shape their lives. We must pay attention to who is thriving and who isn't in our institutions. One model comes from 2 Columbia law students engaging high schoolers in Harlem and Queens to learn about how local government works. Our first step towards civic participation and transformation, basically. There's artist activists, so painting murals. Sorry. Oh no, didn't mean to do that. Painting murals of minority figures in the history. There's just a bunch of this kind of stuff that's going around here. Let me read some of these other headlines.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, that was the Guardian article. How to celebrate the 4th of July if you can't deal with America right now. Vice, this one says how to celebrate the 4th of July when America is a constant disappointment. And this is, let's see what else. 9 reasons why I don't celebrate the 4th of July. And this one's from a 2022 post, 4 reasons not to celebrate the 4th of July. Yahoo Life wrote, why these Americans aren't celebrating the 4th of July post-Roe reversal. Let's see. Yeah, but the list goes on. If you get on TikTok, you'll see a lot of the same sentiment too. I mean, there's just people screeching and crying over this kind of stuff. And oh man, let's see if I have some more of this. There's so many videos out there, but I think people get the gist of this. and I think Trump is doing a ceremony for signing the big beautiful bill today. So I'm sure later today we're going to see a lot of news media and a lot of freak out. So I bet next week we'll have some good material for our show, Mark.
Hey, there's never a
what
lack.
happens today and the meltdown. So tune in next week to the Defiance Daily Show at 11 o'clock. We'll do we'll recap how people fared today. But fear not, for some of those who lean a little left, that tune into the show just to get some insight. Eleanor Gracist will be here. We'll save her
That's
for
an
the end of the
important-
show.
I
She's got
forgot.
a very
Yeah.
special segment for everybody. And we've got the calming music. I may light a candle in here, Mark.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Is it one of those lavender? What do you call it? It had
It's
a weird
lavender
name.
mint. And it
Lavender
works
mint.
really well when I got a little flatulence and,
Okay.
I got to light that up. Something about the mint just destroys
After
things.
your deviled eggs and Vienna sausages. You
Yeah,
get a
and I
little
ate my
gassy.
bowl of Vienna sausages this morning,
Oh my
with my
I'm glad I wasn't there for
my
that.
jelly
Travis.
broth. So I just eat it out of the bowl like that.
Oh.
I did leave a bowl out last week and they hardened up and there was a bunch of those little black ants in
God.
there, but
Travis.
why?
But why?
Hang
Are you
on,
reading that?
I just got to notice, guys.
Yeah, I'm just reading it. What's going on there? We got some
You can see
instability.
this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Studio instability issues. How are you seeing this?
I'm just reading the thing above the top there. I'm saying I imagine I have the same
We
screen you do.
suggest turning off those features while our engineers are. And it's always something. The latest versions of some browsers seem to have introduced a conflict that is causing studio. Oh, does that explain what happened last week?
Well, it
Is that
could.
some of the studio instability? Hang on, I'm gonna check the feed, guys. Y'all bear with me because
And while he's doing that, I
make
do
sure
want to
this shit's not
apologize.
happening again.
If for those who were on the show last week, you noticed that we didn't have the video. You could hear us, you couldn't see us, which I guess some would argue that's a benefit. I would tell you that Roger nor Travis dropped the ball. Something outside
No,
of
Roger.
our, he did. I can't put that on him, Travis. It was a outside of our control, something like this. That's why Travis is checking on this, because now we're a little skittish.
It's funny. I'm seeing on my page the number of viewers versus the tracker on here. They're just completely out of sync, man.
I don't know how that all works.
Well, yeah. Y'all. I like that comment there. Happy 249th No King's Day. The real No King's Day.
That's big. Cameron's in the house.
Cam, man. Big
man,
Cam.
the Cam man with the yam.
Cam.
Yeah. He's all
you met Cameron, I think. Yeah. Here, let me see it. Can I show this on here?
I don't know. Can you?
There. Oh, look, that's cool.
Oh, there.
The real happy 249th No King's Day, guys.
Yeah,
yes.
I love that.
Yes, No King's Day. The real No King's Day.
The real No King's Day.
This is when we revolted against the crown. And I did have
which was kind of a big deal, Travis.
It is a big deal.
It was kind of a big deal. A lot of people today don't really understand because of the way it turned out. Obviously, we won.
Well, this is when you talk about the kind of the helicopter mom aspect to some of the celebrations. Here's one from the BBC. Huge firework display will mark. Of course, the BBC would put those red coats. Huge fireworks display will mark 4th of July in the U.S., but the nation's air quality will suffer.
Oh,
air pollution will spike.
What?
Climate change contribution will also in turn spike. Fireworks can make bad air quality even worse.
What?
Sizable
42. Wait. Hang on. I've got to ask Travis because I'm not there with you. Are you being serious right now? Or are you making?
I'm reading from the BBC right now.
You swear? Because
this one's from a news organization called Greenly. Why is the 4th of July so bad for the environment?
You know what's really sad is people buy it, Travis. people, and we're not talking a handful, millions,
Yeah, well, and
hundreds of
here's
millions
this one
buy
from
that.
the New York Times. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you go ahead.
the New York Times, why some Americans are rethinking 4th of July celebrations, features young Americans who have lost their patriotic feelings and view fireworks as resembling gunshots. Independence Day is a celebration of American hypocrisy, the Huffington Post wrote. So they argue that Americans don't need to be re-educated. We simply need to be properly informed. Folks, that is code for re-education.
Oh, that's it. That's commie speak.
Why freedom isn't free for everyone. That's from Revolt magazine. Former Navy SEAL condemns July 4th protest. He's actually speaking out against the ICE protests that are happening there. Which is okay. This is what blows my mind. There's people protesting the 4th of July on behalf of illegal immigrants. So people that aren't even
Illegal
American
what?
citizens, illegal
Illegal what?
immigrants,
Illegal aliens?
aliens, immigrants, whatever you want to call them.
Well, the
But
words mean
they're not citizens. It's
they're
so,
illegal
like,
aliens.
this is oh my God, man, you can't make this stuff up. Let's see. Yeah, there's massive demonstrations for Palestine today in New York. We are just so far gone. Now, before I want to get into this next segment, I wanted to highlight these before we get into kind of the history of what today really means. Mark's got some good insights on this. I also wanted to go through, it's interesting to me to think about, the original 13 colonies and our makeup as a country, as representing states. We're unique in a lot of our own rights. Some other countries do something kind of similar. But when those states became part of the union and all the interesting tidbits about this, I'm really excited to get into this kind of stuff. I think it'll be fun. Yeah, and there's some, of course, there's some academics that are coming out with an Independence Day look at Jefferson's brutal hypocrisy, reflecting on that was by John Hogan, reflecting on July 4th, an unfulfilled promise of equality.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
This one's from Ignite Peace. Why criticizing the 4th of July isn't un-American. Let's see here.
Okay, have him define American. He can't do it. So how does he know what un-American is?
Yeah, they're seeing Free America anti-Trump protests expand across the nation. And again, I did find some good videos, but I'm going to save them for next week because there's no doubt going to be more coming out. And I want to see videos from these protests that are happening. So many critics are suggesting here's some of the alternative. Celebrate Juneteenth instead.
Juneteenth.
Here's another one. Community reflection. Gathering only with loved ones of like-minded mode on July 4th. Environmental alternatives include promoting drone shows instead of fireworks or watching videos.
Are you big, Travis? Travis, you bet. Okay, look at me. Swear you are not making this shit up.
I swear to God, I got it. I got them all right here. Look, I even got the sources to these.
Oh my God!
So if people really want to see these, I'll post them.
Folks,
up.
I'm not sitting next to Travis, so he's got a lot of
thing too. Why does this keep showing up? I keep getting worried about the feed. Hang on, let me check this. Eleanor just scared off Roger, so holy crap, there's a lot of people. Okay, I think we're okay. All right, so yeah. So the sources that I gathered here, I got all the articles, I put them in a prompt in an AI tool, and I wanted to see what was their common sources of argument, which was a celebration of white supremacy, genocide, and freedom cannot exist on stolen land, and the hypocritical nature of America's history, and ongoing systemic racism. Of course, the slavery one's the favorite to use, Native American genocide. Anyway, there's a lot of this stuff going on. So let's get into it, Mark. Let's get into the Independence Day and what led up to it. And bear with me here, folks. And Mark, interrupt me at any time as I'm going through this, because this is kind of a long one, but it's important to kind of get the historical context to this, and we'll see how this goes. You ready, Mark?
Man, dude, I'm all strapped in and ready to go. I'm on my freedom rocket.
Yeah. Do you have does everybody have their gun on the table for this Independence Day? Everybody's good to go? Okay, good.
Always armed.
America.
I got my law rocket over there. I don't want to show that though, because ATF.
Yeah, be careful about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I got them, man. I got booby traps. I got claymores. I got it all, man. I'm ready.
So I'm gonna go through this one. This segment's called "The Seeds of Rebellion." This is 1763 through 1774. This is the French and Indian War, bitter aftermath. The path to the revolution began with a British victory, paradoxically. The end of the French and Indian War in 1763 left Britain as the dominant power in North America, but it also left the empire drowning in debt. The war had cost Britain approximately 180 million pounds, and King George III and Parliament believed the American colonists should help pay for their own defense. What followed was a series of increasingly unpopular tax measures that would transform loyal British subjects into revolutionary rebels. The Sugar Act of 1764 was just the beginning. Then came the infamous Stamp Act of 1765, which required colonists to purchase specifically stamped paper for legal documents, newspaper, and even playing cards. This wasn't just another tax. It was the first direct tax imposed on the colonist and touched at virtually every aspect of colonial life.
Do you know what young colonel was serving with the British in the war against the French and Indians?
Was that George?
That was Big George.
George Washington, that's right.
Did you know about his little he had an incursion at a famous battle as he led those troops and wrote a famous letter. I believe it was in 1755. And he actually, it was kind of a miracle. Have you heard about this?
I haven't.
He was,
man. Come on. Share with the class, bro.
So years later, when he was, this was after the American Revolution, and he was traveling because where this battle happened was somewhere outside of what we now know as Pittsburgh. But years later, George Washington met with the old Indian that was one of the Indian braves that fought the British that was in this battle that was led by George Washington. And this chief looked at now retired General Washington, and he said, you and we encountered one another in these woods years ago. And he said, I instructed my men to shoot you. I wanted them concentrating their fire on you because I knew you were the leader. And if we took you out, your troops would fall apart. We shot 2 horses out from underneath you. My very best marksmen were shooting at you. I shot at you personally 2 or 3 times, and you never fell. Well, that night after that battle was over, Washington wrote a letter, and he documented that he found multiple bullet holes throughout his clothing and even bullet fragments in his hair and in his hat. And he documented that it was only the grace of God or providence. Many times they used the word providence, interchangeable with God, the Almighty. And he said that God had literally delivered his life. And that Indian chief told Washington years later, decades later, that yes, we met, and I actually instructed my braves to shoot you and to kill you, and we couldn't do it. Our fire was ineffective against you. True story.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
There's just so many stories like that with our founding, and you look back on it and you go, this is not by accident. God showed up over and over and over and over. But anyway, yeah, the French and Indian War was a pivotal part of our history.
Absolutely. And then it was during, so I'm going to go on. after the Sugar Act and the Stamp Act were enforced upon the colonists, this was the birth of the revolutionary slogan. It was during these early tax disputes that one of the most powerful political slogans in American history emerged: no taxation without representation. It was attributed to Massachusetts lawyer James Otis. The phrase captured the colonists' fundamental grievance. They were being taxed by a parliament in which they had no voice. The principle wasn't new. It dated back to the Magna Carta and had been the cornerstone of English liberty for centuries. The colonists' anger was palpable and organized. The Stamped Act Congress of 1765 brought together representatives from 9 colonies to formally protest the tax. More dramatically, groups like the Sons of Liberty took to the streets, intimidating tax collectors and destroying stamp. That's so damn cool, man. The protests worked. Parliament repealed the Stamped Act in 1766, but simultaneously passed the Declaratory Act, asserting its right to tax the colonies in all cases whatsoever. So this led to the next segment, which is I'm titling it Escalating Tensions, the Boston Massacre and the Tea Party. The late 1760s and early 1770s saw a series of events that pushed colonies in Britain towards the point of no return. The Townshend Acts of 1767 imposed new taxes on paint, paper, tea, and other goods. When colonists responded with boycotts, Britain sent troops to Boston to maintain order. On March 5th, tensions exploded in what became known as the Boston Massacre. British soldiers, harassed by an angry mob, opened fire, killing 5 colonists. While the soldiers were later acquitted, defended by future President John Adams, the incident became a powerful propaganda tool for the revolutionary cause. The final straw came with the Tea Act of 1773 and the colonists' response, the Boston Tea Party. On December 16th, 1773, a group of colonists disguised as Native Americans dumped 342 chests of British tea into the Boston Harbor. Yeah, this is known in modern day youth, Mark, as teabagging. When we teabagged the British.
Oh, okay. I thought it was something else, but apparently I am wrong.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm a pervert.
Colonists disguised. I read that already. The Act of Defiance prompted Parliament to pass the coercive acts called the Intolerable Acts by colonists in 1774, which closed Boston Harbor and revoked Massachusetts' charter. So this is kind of breaking down colonial America at that time. So kind of understanding the 13 colonies. The 13 colonies that would eventually form the United States were far from a unified entity in the beginning, stretching along 1,600 miles of Atlantic coastline, covering over 1.1 square kilometers. They were home to approximately 2.5 million people by the 1770s. This was equivalent to the population of modern-day Manchester, spread across an area the size of Britain, France, and Germany combined. It's pretty interesting. The colonies were traditionally grouped into 3 regions, each with distinct characteristics. Yeah, America's original identity was very individualistic,
very independent,
very independent.
That's why everything is all about the individual.
There it is.
Being an American.
The spirit of being,
being an American. Yes.
Yeah, individual states. And, that was so the New England colonies, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, centers of trade, shipbuilding, and increasingly revolutionary sentiment. The middle colonies, which were New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, known for religious diversity, fertile farmland, and bustling port cities. The southern colonies, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, dominated by plantation agriculture. Colonial, let's see. The diversity among the colonies was pretty staggering. The lumber producing north had little in common with the tobacco growing south. Coastal merchants differed greatly from frontier settlers. Most colonists were British Protestants, but there were significant portions of German, Dutch, French, and other Europeans, along with the enslaved Africans. The diversity made some challenges. And it was also a part of what unified everybody, being so different in the same aspect of the American spirit. So very, very interesting stuff. When you think about how this all came together, it's really fascinating stuff. Benjamin Franklin, 22 years before the Declaration of Independence, he published what would become one of the most iconic political symbols in America. On May 9th, 1754, in his Pennsylvania Gazette, Franklin printed a cartoon of a snake cut into 8 pieces, each representing a British colony, with a stark warning: join or die.
Hey, along those lines, Benjamin Franklin, he's one of my favorite characters from the Revolutionary period. Have you ever read the account of him before the cockpit in Great Britain?
No.
Pull that up. Just put in Benjamin Franklin, Great Britain, the cockpit. This is one of the most important events in American history. If it wasn't for this, there is a really super good chance that America would not have won its independence, because Franklin was absolutely, if it wasn't for Franklin, America wouldn't have won its independence.
Do you want me to read kind of the?
Well, yeah, because this is,
So
first of all, it's an incredible story.
Yeah, the term Benjamin Franklin cockpit refers to an event in January 1774 where Benjamin Franklin was publicly humiliated before
That's what I'm talking about.
the British Privy Council
Yes.
in a room called the cockpit. This event, detailed in Sheila Skimp's book, The Making of a Patriot, Benjamin Franklin at the Cockpit, is considered a turning point in Franklin's view of the relationship between Britain and American colonies. So the cockpit was a room in Whitehall Palace, once used for cockfighting, where the British Privy Council met. On January 29th, 1774, Franklin was summoned to the cockpit and subjected to a scathing verbal attack by Solicitor General Alexander Wedderburn. Wedderburn accused Franklin of leaking letters from Massachusetts Governor Thomas Hutchinson, which had fueled colonial unrest and ultimately led to the Boston Tea Party. Franklin, though initially taken back, remained silent and dignified throughout the tirade. The public humiliation, coupled with the subsequent loss of his position as Deputy Postmaster General, is seen as a catalyst for Franklin's shift in allegiance from seeking reconciliation to supporting American independence. It was considered a pivotal moment in his life, solidifying his commitment to the American cause and marking a personal break with his son, William, who remained loyal to the crown. That's incredible. I didn't know that. His son remained loyal to the...
Yeah, no, he was estranged from his son for the rest of his life. But now here's another twist to this. It's such an incredible, and nobody knows about this. We don't teach it, and it's such a important. If Franklin, up until this point, Franklin was loyal to the crown, and Franklin had no intention of joining the revolution, and many say he never would have. But when they did that to him, when the Solicitor General and it was bad. If there's a great, who's the author of the biography of Franklin? I forget. He's Pulitzer Prize winning author. Anyway, gives a full account. Now, what's really cool, and this is so Franklin. Franklin was wearing a particular outfit that day when he was dressed down and publicly humiliated in that whole event. When Franklin returned to Great Britain before the court after America beat Britain, guess what he wore? He wore the outfit, the same hat, everything. He wore the exact same outfit that he was wearing the day that he was degraded in the cockpit.
That's incredible.
It's an amazing part. And Travis, we have such a rich, incredible history in these men. Yes, they were men. They were fallible. They were not perfect. They made mistakes. They did things they're not proud of. But I am telling you, these men were remarkable. They were brilliant.
That's a big part of like some of this history that gets lost, is the trying to diminish the remarkability of these men. I mean, this is especially, I think of, when I think of this kind of stuff, I think about a lot of the heroes of Texas too, man.
Oh,
just incredibly young, and badass. These are remarkable men. There's
Remarkable men, brave, smart. Why do you think Crockett left Tennessee and went to Texas? Because Crockett was looking for Americanism. He was an American, and he saw that Texas spirit. He goes, these Texans are what America used to be. And he was saying this in the 1800s. But again, that was the thing. And he saw Texas, the rugged individualism, the smart, the brave, the willing to sacrifice everything for freedom. And
it is that same spirit. It's the same damn thing, man. So that cartoon that we were just touching on, the Join or Die, he created that during the French and Indian War to encourage colonial cooperation against French and Native American threats. The snake was based on the superstition that if a serpent was cut into pieces and the pieces were reunited before sunset, the snake would come back to life. So the colonies were represented geographically from south to north: South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and New England, shown as one unit. Notably, Delaware was omitted because it was considered part of Pennsylvania, and Georgia was excluded entirely as it was the newest and least developed colony at that point in time. So that cartoon would be revived during the Stamp Act crisis in 1765, and again during the Revolution, as a powerful symbol of American unity. And of course, let's get to the next point, which is the shot heard around the world. This is 1775 to 1776. By 1775, the situation had become untenable. The First Continental Congress met in Philadelphia in September of 1774, bringing together representatives from 12 colonies. Georgia initially refused to participate. While still hoping for reconciliation, the Congress organized boycotts and began coordinating colonial resistance. The powder keg finally exploded on April 19th, 1775 at Lexington and Concord. British General Thomas Gage, attempting to seize colonial weapons and arrest rebel leaders, marched 700 troops towards Concord. Thanks to Paul Revere's famous midnight ride and an efficient colonial warning system, Minutemen were ready. So this was the British are coming. The British are coming.
Awesome, dude. That is so American. I'm sorry. I'm getting excited.
That's
where is that today, man?
Midnight ride. Yeah. Our modern day Paul Revere, I would say, is probably Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Modern day Paul Revere.
I agree. Yeah.
I would have to say. The resulting battles were a shocking revelation of what was to come. British casualties totaled 273 men, 73 killed, 174 wounded, 26 missing, while colonial losses were 95, 49 killed, 41 wounded, and 5 missing. More importantly, the British retreat from Concord to Boston became a running gauntlet, with colonial militiamen firing from behind trees, stone walls, and buildings, a preview of the unconventional warfare that would plague British forces throughout the war. That's right. The conventional warfare mechanism, which has always fascinated me, just lining up in front of each other and having these
duking it out,
rules of war and this type of engagement,
gentleman rules
to be and Americans said no.
Well,
we're gonna fight this. We're gonna fight to win. We're not gonna fight to do this weird.
One of the definitions of being an American is being innovative. That has always been uniquely American, the innovation. And we innovated war, and we started then. And we learned it in the French and Indian War.
Right.
It's where we learned it. And we pissed the British off, man. We pissed them off.
So when Washington took command, this was on June 14th, 1775, the Second Continental Congress made one of its most consequential decisions in American history. It created the Continental Army and appointed George Washington as its commander-in-chief. Washington was chosen partly for his military experience, but also because Virginia ordinance would help unite the colonies. The rebellion needed to be more than just a New England affair, right? Washington faced a daunting challenge. At the outbreak of the war, Britain's total effective military strength worldwide was about 45,000 officers and men, with 8,500 stationed in North America. By contrast, the Continental Army began as little more than organized militia units surrounding British-occupied Boston. This leads us into the Battle of Bunker Hill on June 17th, 1775, demonstrated both American determination and the terrible cost of the war. While technically a British victory, the battle came at a horrific price. Over 1,000 British casualties from a garrison of about 6,000 compared to 500 American casualties. As Benjamin Franklin grimly calculated, at this rate, Britain was paying 20,000 pounds for every American it killed. July 4th, 1776, the die is cast. The decision for independence came. The movement towards independence accelerated dramatically in early 1776. Thomas Paine's pamphlet, Common Sense, published on January 10th, 1776, became a runaway bestseller, convincing many colonists that independence was the only viable path forward. Paine's clear, compelling arguments against monarchy and in favor of a republican government reached ordinary colonists in language they could understand. On June 7th, 1776, Virginia's Richard Henry Lee introduced a resolution in the Continental Congress declaring that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states.
Richard Henry Lee, the grandfather of who?
Oh, that's
Henry
Robert E. Lee.
Lee.
That's right. That's right. While debate continued, Congress appointed a committee to draft a declaration explaining their decision to the world. The committee consisted of 5 men: Thomas Jefferson, who was the primary author, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert Livingston. Jefferson, at just 33 years old, spent 17 days crafting the document that would change history, writing largely in isolation in a rented room just blocks from Independence Hall. The Declaration of Independence was far more than a simple announcement of a separation from Britain. Yeah, this was a secession. It articulated revolutionary principles that challenged the very foundation of 18th century political thought. The famous words, "All men are created equal," and the assertion that governments derive their powers from the consent of the governed were radical concepts in an age of absolute monarchy. On July 2nd, 1776, Congress voted for independence, and on July 4th, they approved the final text of the Declaration of Independence. John Adams wrote to his wife, Abigail, that July 2nd would be the most memorable epic in the history of America, celebrated with pomp and parade, with shoes, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations. Though he was off by 2 days, his prediction of how Americans would commemorate their independence proved remarkably accurate. So when you're thinking about this day and the fireworks and the celebration, this is where it came from, folks, right there. What John Adams talked about.
This
the most
had never
memorable
been
epic
done
in
before.
history of America, in a world of absolute monarchy and brutish rule. It was celebrated with pomp and parade, with shoes, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations. So ironically,
Amazing.
as the Liberty Bell rang in Philadelphia to announce the American independence, British ships were arriving in New York Harbor with the largest force in British history. So this was a David versus Goliath comparison. The
Literally.
military disparity between Britain and the American colonies was staggering. At the start of the Revolution, the Royal Navy numbered over 250 vessels of all sizes, from massive ships of the line carrying over 100 guns to smaller coastal vessels. By the war's end, this number would nearly double to meet global threats. In contrast, the fledgling Continental Navy began with just 27 warships in 1776. So I'm going to go through this.
Do you know what ended up happening?
What's that?
We tried to, for the very first time, we tried a privatized Navy. One of the biggest arguments that people say, well, you got to have government because you got to have military. Go back and study Revolutionary War. Find out what we were most effective. Our naval forces that were most effective weren't our government. The government privatized the Navy, and that's when it became most efficient. Anyway, won't go into all the detail, but that's some more very interesting, just some interesting facts and our actual need for government. And again, very anti-American. Anybody that says, well, we need the government for this, that's anti-American. That's un-American. American is, no, we don't. No. We don't
Yeah,
need
and
anything.
it really, and I've got this chart up here too, because this is pretty incredible to look at. Let me see if I can. So there was British Army forces, Hessian forces,
Mhm.
British Navy, and we had the Continental Army, which at its peak had 48,000, and yeah, the militia in the United States is really what made this happen.
Bingo.
Revolutionary War
Bingo.
military forces and casualty. The British Army, while smaller than its European counterparts at about 48,000 men worldwide, was professional. It was well trained and experienced. These redcoats were volunteers who had enlisted for life. They were equipped with the finest weapons of the age and supported by extensive supply lines. The Hessian factor, to supplement their forces, Britain hired approximately 30,000 German soldiers, collectively known as Hessians, though they came from 6 different German principalities. The largest contingent came from Hesse-Kassel, I'm probably butchering that, which provided about 18,000 troops. British and Hessian soldiers in their, these weren't merely mercenaries, they were professional auxiliary troops hired out by their own governments.
They were
The Hessian,
outstanding soldiers.
yeah,
Outstanding. They were not second. They were not bench warmers. They outstanding fighting men.
yeah. The Hessian military system was incredibly disciplined. Boys were registered for military service at age 7. 7
Exactly.
years old.
Yes.
And mid-age 16 to 30 had to report annually for possible induction.
But we call
Military service at age 7.
we call 17-year-olds today
When you put that
children.
in I know. And you put that
That's
in
how screwed
perspective
up we
now,
are.
it's just
It's our
what a
society is so
pussified
screwed up.
society we become. For
Ugh.
cash-strapped German princes like Landgrave Frederick II of Hesse-Kassel, renting troops to Britain brought in revenue equivalent to 13 years of tax income. The Hessians were among the most feared soldiers in the 18th century of Europe. Their discipline was legendary, their training rigorous, and their reputations for effectiveness was well earned. American colonists viewed them with particular disdain, seeing them as hired killers fighting for pay rather than principle. Yeah, if you look up the Hessian military, it was absolutely, like Mark was saying, very incredible war fighting unit. A very formidable force for the United States, to say the least. The Continental Army faced insurmountable challenges. At its peak, it numbered about 48,000 men, though a total of 231,000 Americans served at various times during the 8-year conflict. However, these numbers were misleading. Washington rarely had more than 10 to 15,000 effective troops under his direct command at any given time. To me, I think this is what part of made it work was you had all these independent thinking people that were just fighting. The Americans lacked almost everything necessary for conventional warfare: adequate weapons, uniforms, supplies, most critically money. Soldiers often went without pay for months, marched barefoot through the snow, and survived on meager rations. The famous winter at Valley Forge in 1777 through 78 saw nearly 2,000 of Washington's 12,000 men die from disease, starvation, and exposure. So Washington's strategic genius, it was understood from the beginning that he couldn't defeat the British in conventional European-style warfare. His strategy was elegantly simple. Don't lose. As long as the Continental Army existed as a fighting force, Britain couldn't claim victory. Washington's approach, sometimes called, listen to this, we talked about this, Fabian strategy, after the Roman general Fabius, who defeated Hannibal through similar tactics, involved avoiding large-scale pitched battles while striking when opportunities arose. He would engage British forces when he held advantages, then retreat when facing superior numbers. This was a masterstroke of his leadership. Washington's most famous demonstration of this strategy came on Christmas night in 1776. After a series of devastating defeats in New York, the Continental Army was in full retreat across New Jersey. Morale was shattered, enlistments were expiring, and the cause seemed pretty much lost at this point in time. Yeah, he was leading his troops across icy Delaware River on Christmas night. In a stroke of tactical brilliance, Washington led 2,400 men across the ice-filled Delaware River in a surprise attack on Trenton. The Hessian garrison, celebrating Christmas and completely unprepared for an attack, was caught entirely off guard. The Americans captured nearly 1,000 prisoners while suffering minimal casualties. This victory, following by another at Princeton a week later, revitalized the revolutionary cause and demonstrated Washington's ability to adapt and improvise under desperate circumstances. So
One thing about that. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing about the crossing at the Delaware when Washington and I think Travis, if you got your Google machine up there, I think it was one of the founding father, Robert Morris, who at the time was the wealthiest American in the colonies. Can you see Robert Morris? Washington didn't have the boats. He didn't have the boats for the crossing, and they were out of money. Everything was lost. Most people today don't realize how desperate the situation was on the night of Christmas Eve of the famous crossing. It was incredibly desperate, and they didn't have the funds. And is it Robert Morris, Travis? Did you find him? I think.
Yeah, Robert Morris. You want me to dive through kind of the overview of him? He was known as the financier of the American Revolution.
He was the finance. And by the way, he died in debtor's prison because of it. He lost everything, and he was the richest man in the colonies when it started. And Washington needed the boats, and they didn't have the money. And he said, "Get me Robert Morris." And Robert Morris funded the operation, which made it happen. Robert Morris, again, one of these founding fathers, incredible story. He sacrificed everything, and the crossing would have never happened without Morris. I mean, things like this. This is what it means to be an American.
Right. The personal sacrifices with nothing to gain, but for the cause. Well, there was something to gain, right?
And today, there's so many people that say, "Well, I can't say anything because of my job. I can't say anything because I might lose customers with my business. I can't say anything. That's un-American."
Well, and let me go through. So I want to keep going through Washington's tactics here. So guerrilla warfare and these unconventional tactics were a huge part of the success.
Yes.
While he was focused on keeping the Continental Army intact, American forces throughout the colonies employed what we now recognize as guerrilla warfare. So he was the inventor, you could say, of these tactics. Ambush and hit and run tactics. Colonial militiamen excelled at striking British columns, then melting away into familiar terrain. The British retreat from Concord was just the beginning of this campaign. His intelligence networks. Washington utilized sophisticated spy networks, including the famous Culper Ring, to gather intelligence on British movements while spreading disinformation about American strength. Disrupting supply lines. This was a big one. American forces constantly targeted British supply convoys, making it difficult and expensive for the enemy to maintain their forces. And then, of course, the psychological warfare aspect to this. Colonists understood the power of propaganda, using events like the Boston Massacre to rally support and demonize British forces. So this was a very effective tactic for sure. Perhaps the most effective guerrilla warfare occurred in the South under leaders like Francis Marion, known as the Swamp Fox. Marion's tactics were devastatingly effective.
What movie was based on him?
They're
the
known
Patriot.
as
the Patriot with Mel Gibson. That
yes, right,
based
right.
on that's the character. That's the man that
Marion's tactics were devastatingly effective. His forces would strike British camps at dawn, inflict maximum casualties, then disappear into South Carolina swamps and forests. Marion's men could ride 50 miles at night to attack an enemy camp, then fade away before British reinforcements arrived. They used specialized ammunition, multiple pellets that could hit several enemies simultaneously, and employed deception to make their forces appear smaller or larger as circumstances require. That's so damn cool.
American. That's American. That is uniquely American.
Yeah, and some of these revolutionary leaders, I mean, I'll just go for the ones everyone's familiar with. George Washington, he was indispensable man of the revolution, clearly. Despite losing more battles than he won, Washington's strategic vision, his personal charisma, and sheer determination held the cause together during its darkest moments. His decision to resign his commission at war's end rather than seize power established a precedent that helped secure American's republic's founding. Absolutely awesome. I love that, how he denied a kingship here in America, because after
Nobody
the war,
believed he would do it.
yeah,
In fact,
he wouldn't do it. No.
Yeah, in fact, King
And he even
King
had
George,
the force and the military might to just
could have done it.
take over.
In fact, they
Just taken over.
all of his army, they wanted him to. The American people were like, we need. King George didn't believe it. King George said, no, that man. King George said, if Washington denies the crown, I will admit publicly that he is the greatest man that's ever lived. King
Did he ever
George
admit
said that.
publicly?
That's a good question. I think,
Probably
but
not.
just making that statement
Yeah.
was pretty, because he just knew there's no way somebody would be offered that type of power and turn
Right.
it down. There's no way. Nobody would do that. Washington did.
Yeah, and of course, you get to Benjamin Franklin. He proved there's a lot of people that think he was president. That wasn't. He proved equally crucial as America's master diplomat. His scientific reputation and personal charm made him a celebrity in European courts,
in
particularly
France.
in France. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was part of that famous lodge out there, that Masonic lodge out there.
If France hadn't entered the war when they did, we wouldn't have won the revolution. That's why I go back to the cockpit story. If that wouldn't have happened, the chances of America winning its independence go down dramatically.
Well, and it does say, that is tied to, the diplomatic success in
Yes.
securing French alliance was
No.
one of the most important aspects to the victory,
Vital.
as well as any military engagement.
Bingo.
And then the intellectual foundation for the revolution through the Declaration of Independence, talking about Thomas Jefferson, his articulation of natural rights and popular sovereignty gave the colonial rebellion a philosophical framework that resonated far beyond America's borders. So revolutionary in its own right. And let me switch over to, let's talk about on the British side, King George III. There's King George he's been portrayed as the primary villain, but the reality was, of course, it's always a little more complex. The king was determined to maintain the empire and saw the colonial rebellion as a challenge to royal authority that had to be crushed. However, his inflexibility and refusal to consider compromise options ultimately doomed British efforts overall. General William Howe commanded British forces from 1775 to 78, but proved frustratingly indecisive. Despite several opportunities to destroy Washington's army, Howe consistently failed to follow up on tactical victories. So this is one of those things, and when, everybody knows people like this. They'll get a victory, they'll celebrate it, and then they won't keep the momentum going. Right, Mark?
Yeah, afraid to
win.
of failure. Well, too afraid of failure. They just want to win, and too afraid of failure, and not wanting to take risks.
Yeah, his campaign strategy was often puzzling. Notably, his decision to capture Philadelphia in 1777 rather than support invasion from Canada. Sir Henry Clinton replaced Howe in 1778 and understood the strategic challenges better than his predecessor. Clinton recognized that Britain needed to win a war of attrition, but he lacked the resources and political support to implement effective strategies. His southern campaign showed initial promise, but ultimately failed when Cornwallis became trapped at Yorktown.
That was it.
And General Charles Cornwallis, of course, became the face of British defeat when he surrendered at Yorktown. Ironically, Cornwallis was one of Britain's most capable generals, but strategic mistakes and coordination failures left him isolated and surrounded. The Revolutionary War, as far as it's told, I'm a big believer in talking about the toll of war. British military casualties were approximately 43,633 total dead in the Army alone, with 9,372 killed in battle and 27,000 dying from disease. The Royal Navy lost another 19,743 men, with only 1,243 killed in action, while 18,500 died from disease. And of course, at this time, the numbers reveal one of the war's most, brutal realities. And this was for war for centuries. It was the same way. Disease killed far more soldiers than enemy.
Dysentery would
Yeah.
wipe out,
Malaria, dysentery,
just
typhus.
wipe out swaths.
Yeah, unfamiliar terrain. That's going to get you. Hessian auxiliary forces lost approximately 7,774 men, with 1,800 killed in battle. Many Hessians chose to remain in America after the war. Approximately 3,000 decided to start new lives in former colonies rather than return to Germany. And then, of course, you switch to the American side. American casualties were equally severe relative to the population. Estimates vary pretty wildly, but we're looking at 25,324 Americans died, with about 4,443 killed in battle, and the remainder dying from disease exposure or while imprisoned. The most tragic American deaths occurred aboard British prison ships anchored in New York Harbor. Conditions on these floating prisons were horrific. An estimated 8 to 10,000 Americans died in British custody, mostly from disease and malnutrition. This death toll exceeded battlefield casualties and became a source of bitter resentment that lasted long after the war. I'm sure. Yeah, right.
Well, we were talking about that with Abraham Clark's sons.
Yeah.
One of the delegates from New Jersey, signer of the Declaration of Independence, and his sons were two sons serving in the artillery units, and were captured by the British and put on the prisoner ship Jersey, which was the most infamous of all the prison ships. And the British knew that they had the sons of one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and they really mistreated those two boys. And they got a hold of Abraham Clark and his wife Sarah and let them know that they had their sons, that they were on the Jersey, that they were not being fed nor water. They weren't given water or food, and they were told that they would be starved to death or they'd die from dehydration earlier. And they demanded that Abraham Clark denounce the Declaration of Independence and renounce his signing of that declaration. And the British promised Clark and his wife that if Clark simply renounced the Declaration of Independence and the revolutionary cause, that they would free his sons, that there would be Clark would be taken off the list of traitors to be hung, and his family would be left to live in peace and prosperity. All he had to do was renounce the Declaration of Independence, and his sons would live. And Clark refused to renounce the Declaration.
Yeah, that's the incredible dedication of this whole movement. It's pretty
Unbelievable.
It's extraordinary.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, the war was pretty devastating for America. A total population of only 2.5 million. Losing 25,000 people meant that about 1 in every 100 Americans died in the conflict. The casualty rate was proportionally higher than any American war except for the Civil War. Some of the key turning points. Let's see, where are we at on time? Eleanor is like,
is she chomping at the bit? She's probably upset with all this war talk.
She is. She's
probably getting
groveling.
She's probably.
But I'm gonna go through this anyway. So some of the turning points in the war: Saratoga, the Battle of Saratoga in October 1777 marked the war's crucial turning point. British General John Bourgon's invasion, I'm probably butchering that, from Canada was meant to split New England from the other colonies, but ended in disaster. American forces under General Horatio Gates surrounded and captured Bourgon's entire army of 5,700 men. That's pretty incredible, dude. Saratoga's importance went far beyond the military victory. The battle convinced France that Americans might actually win their independence,
Bingo.
leading to the formal Franco-American alliance in February 1778. This alliance transformed the Revolutionary War from a colonial rebellion into a global conflict, forcing Britain to defend interests worldwide while also fighting America. The final act, of course, was the climax of the war, which was in Yorktown, which was 1781. And that, again, that's General Cornwallis, following his southern campaign strategy, had forfeited the Virginia port town, expecting British naval support. Instead, he found himself trapped between Washington's Continental Army, French forces under Rochambeau, and a French fleet under Admiral de Grasse. The siege lasted 3 weeks, during which Allied artillery pounded British positions relentlessly. Cornwallis attempted a desperate evacuation across the York River, but storms thwarted the effort. On October 17th, 1781, a British drummer appeared on the fortifications, followed by an officer waving a white flag. The formal surrender ceremony on October 19th was rich with symbolism. Cornwallis, claiming illness, sent Brigadier General Charles O'Hara in his place. O'Hara first tried to surrender the French commander Rochambeau, who directed him to Washington. Washington, in turn, refused to accept the sword from a subordinate and motioned to his own second-in-command, General Benjamin Lincoln. The British Army marched out with flags furled and muskets shouldered, while their band played, according to legend, "The World Turned Upside Down." In all, 8,000 British and Hessian soldiers, 214 artillery pieces, and thousands of muskets were captured. So when the news of Yorktown reached London on November 25th of 1781, Prime Minister Lord North reportedly declared, "Oh God, it is all over. It is all over."
Yep.
Although fighting continued sporadically for another year, Yorktown had broken British will to continue the war. And again, well, not again, but the Treaty of Paris, signed on September 3rd, 1783, formally ended the conflict. Britain recognized American independence and agreed to withdraw all forces from American territory. The United States stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River, doubling in size and origin of the original 13 colonies. So again, the American Revolutionary War stands as one of history's most improbable victories. A collection of 13 desperate colonies with no navy, no professional army, limited resources, had defeated the world's greatest military power. The key to American success lay not in superior firepower or numbers, but in strategic vision, determination, tactical innovation, international diplomacy, and again, sheer determination. The war established principles that would echo throughout history. The idea that governments derive their authority from consent of the governed, that people have the right to alter or abolish oppressive governments, and that all men are created equal. These concepts, first articulated in a Philadelphia meeting in 1776, would inspire movements such as this worldwide. So that's it, folks. That's kind of a brief rundown of what I could squeeze in a 2 or so hour segment there, but really, really cool history. Happy Independence Day out there, folks. That was cool to kind of revisit all that stuff. And in the age of these men that were involved, and I couldn't imagine you got your sons captured and swearing an oath and upholding the oath while knowing your boys are going to die, your kids are going to die,
tortured. They were being
tortured.
tortured
and who
to
knows,
death.
the type of, the British were known for some pretty
The
hardcore.
conditions were
It was
unimaginable.
It was bad. And but that's the signing of the Declaration of Independence and declaring the independence, and what John Adams talked about. There's a reason we blow up fireworks. We hey, hang on, folks. Do you hear that? Oh, those are fireworks going off out there.
Are they really? I couldn't hear them.
Yeah, they're right outside my window. That was kind of surprising me a little bit.
I don't know. I thought Eleanor came in and
I thought
flashed you or
somebody was
something.
slamming something outside of my door out there. But yeah, so on this day, you pop off these fireworks, celebrate a little bit, have some fun, take some time. I went fishing yesterday, so I'm taking some much needed time off. It's good to be in studio. I miss my Mark up here, but I know.
Dude.
She's being a
I know,
bitch.
man. I know. You gotta just, don't let her flash you.
Well, I don't know. Mark,
You make Roger jealous.
yeah. Let's see if we have this.
No, that was excellent, Travis. I really
Yeah,
am glad you
that
did
was
that.
I thought that was pretty cool. I went through that article last night.
We can't take for granted that people understand American history, because you got to understand, especially people in your age group and stuff. Wait, what do I hear? What am I hearing?
Oh God, she did it too soon, man. She did it.
What am
too
I
soon.
hearing?
No, but no, keep talking. I'm going to go ahead and let her come in studio and do her weird little thing that she likes to do. And folks, for those that aren't familiar, we're going to introduce Eleanor Gracist. She's going to help with some folks that have a really hard time on days like today.
Real struggles, man.
Celebrating the Declaration of Independence and
loud noises
and America's independence. And, it's not a fun time for a lot of folks. There's a bunch of people screaming and blocking traffic, waving Mexican flags,
Palestinian flags, communist flags.
Just got a comment. Apparently someone is burning the American flag in New York City, is chanting, "We need a new flag." So,
okay.
Some people are having a really hard time. So, Mark, I'm going to let you kind of prep the audience for Eleanor Gracist and what she can help with as far as those listening to us that are coping and they're blowing up my DMs, saying really awful things about me and my family. And yeah, why don't you go ahead?
I will. Bring her in, Travis. First of all, what a surprise. I didn't know we were going to have Dr. Gracist joining us today on the show, but I'm grateful we are. She's a little different. Everybody dunks their Oreo, just a little different. We don't really know that much about Eleanor Gracist, her origins, where she's from. Some people question her sexual identity. Roger obviously had a rendezvous with Dr. Gracist a couple of months back. That has still left a mark on Roger. We do not know the details, nor do we want to know the details, but Roger's never been the same. But Dr. Gracist does bring a particular point of view. It may not be your point of view. It's definitely not my point of view. But we're all about hearing all sides. We like freedom of speech. We don't, want to squelch anybody. And I find her a little bit entertaining. It's if you've plugged in at all to the left coast, the Berkeley crowd, maybe the hippie movement, if you're old enough to remember the Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco, then you're going to understand a little bit where we think Dr. Gracist is, her origins and where she's come from. But Travis, is Dr. Gracist ready? I'm not there in the studio, so I don't know. And I really miss a meeting with Dr. Gracist, because I always enjoy her. She always has a kind word. She is a kind person, but anyway, is she made it in yet, Travis, or she's stuck in the green room? Oh, Dr. Gracist, welcome. Dr. Gracist, thank you so much. Dr. Gracist.
Hi, Mark. I'd like to say it's good to be here today, but
it's really good to have you. Are you, Dr. Gracist, are you crying?
Yes, Mark.
It's a hard day, isn't it?
It's a day of celebrating America's oppression.
I know. That's hard for you. I know. Listen. Hey, Just take a breath. Don't forget your breathing techniques or your Kegels.
Thank you, Marcus.
You're welcome.
Now, if you don't mind, Mark, will you please shut up while I go through this segment for the audience that has a brain that knows what today really means for American society. Mark, I'm going to remove you from the stage. I can't look at you. I'm going to do my segment. Travis, is this okay? You do need my consent. Yes. Okay. Travis said I could go. Get out of my way. Welcome, my enlightened comrades, to Common Ground, the only podcast brave enough to speak truth to the flag-waving, burger-flipping masses who clog our airwaves with their garish celebrations. I'm your host, Eleanor Gracist, self-appointed arbiter of moral superiority, and today we're facing the annual horror shows that is July 4th. Picture it. Hordes of sunburned Philistines, draped in star-spangled monstrosities, chugging corn syrup-laden sodas, while their screaming children wave sparklers like tiny torches of oppression. It's enough to make one weep into one's ethically sourced hemp tote bag. These people, these grillers out there, blissfully unaware of the blood-soaked history they're celebrating. They splash in their kiddie pools, their laughter echoing like a colonial war drum, while I sit here fantasizing about shooting bottle rockets into their pool. Oh, the chaos, the shrieks, the glorious sight of their red, white, and blue jello molds splattered across their pristine lawns. But no, we must resist such petty vengeance. We must. We absolutely must. We're better than that. We're woke. So instead, we'll channel our righteous fury into constructive alternatives to this grotesque holiday. Today, I've assembled a panel of experts so visionary, so avant-garde, that their very names might trigger a spontaneous awakening in your soul. These are not mere mortals. They are prophets of justice, armed with ideas so bold that they could topple empires or at least mildly inconvenience a suburban block party. Let's meet them. Mark, are you ready? Are you ready to meet these guests?
Yes, I am, Dr. Gracist.
I can't wait to introduce you. I do.
Are you okay?
I just want to make sure that I have my support arm here with me.
Okay. Are you up on your meds today, Dr. Gracist?
Yes. I think so. I'm looking for my pills. Hang on. Okay. I'm okay.
I know last time you had forgotten to take a couple of your...
Yeah, I did. I'm okay now. Let's proceed to meet our guests, shall we?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Let's do it. You ready, Mark? Okay. Go away. First, we're introduced by expert number one, Dr. Sage Moonbeam, social justice warrior, anti-colonial high priestess, and certified traffic disruption specialist. Dr. Sage Moonbeam strides onto the scene with a plan to make July 4th unbearable for the unenlightened. She doesn't just suggest blocking traffic, she proposes a full-on highway liberation festival. Imagine it. Thousands of activists in biodegradable hemp loincloths staging a sit-on an I-45 during rush hour, braiding each other's hair and burning effigies of Christopher Columbus made from recycled kombucha bottles. And the piece de la resistance? A ceremonial burning of American flag. But not some cheap polyester garbage, no. This flag is hand-woven by fair trade artisans from reclaimed Queen of Saxe, dyed with organic beet juice and infused with tears of oppressed poets. It's sustainable rebellion. Dr. Moonbeam intones, her voice trembling with echo righteousness. She also implores us to reject the barbaric tradition of grilling meat. Every burger you flip is a dagger in the heart of an indigenous ecosystem, she cries. Instead, host a decolonized potluck featuring delicacies from fermented cricket loaf, larvae milk smoothies, and a dessert of ethically harvested moss pudding. Bonus points if you serve it on plates made from melted down Confederate statues. Expert number 2 is Professor River Willow, immigration rights oracle, sanctuary spa guru, and amateur therapist. Professor River Wallow takes a sanctuary to a whole new level of absurdity. Why simply hide undocumented immigrants in your basement when you can transform it into a luxury trauma healing retreat? Picture this: mood lighting from recycled solar lanterns, walls draped in cruelty-free alpaca tapestries, and a bubbling hot tub filled with lavender-infused rainwater and illegal immigrants. Offer your guest vegan quino bowls, chakra cleansing sound baths with a didgeridoo orchestra, and daily yoga classes led by a guru named Stardust, who only communicates in haikus. They've suffered enough, Professor Willow insists, adjusting his hemp beret. It's time to pamper the oppressed back to wholeness. But wait, there's more. He suggests hosting a border wall demolition drum circle in your backyard. Participants don tie-dye ponchos, bang on bongos made from reclaimed oil drums, and visualize the wall crumbling while sipping ayahuasca mocktails. For extra flair, release a flock of rescued pigeons painted with peace symbols to soar over your neighbor's barbecues, raining down feathers and poop and passive-aggressive vibes. I'm really enjoying the expert advice from these people. Mark,
Me too. I have to tell you.
why are you laughing?
No.
Why are you laughing?
No, I'm overcome with emotion. Sometimes I laugh instead of cry.
Okay, Mark.
I don't know if that's a problem. I don't like to cry, Dr. Gracist.
I'll keep going. Go away. Get out of here. Expert number 3 is, well, you got to pronounce these pronouns correctly, and sometimes I do struggle. It's not Mr. It's MX Stormy Nightshade. Geriatric justice crusader, interpretive dance revolutionary, and vegan choir conductor. MX Stormy Nightshade has a vision so wild it could only come from a mind unburdened by societal norms. They propose storming nursing homes, not to visit, but to confront. Picture a brigade of activists in glitter-dusted leotards bursting into the rec room, screaming at bewildered seniors about their complicity in the white Anglo patriarchy. You built this system, Nightshade shrieks, twirling a baton made from ethically sourced bamboo. Then the real show begins. A 45-minute interpretive dance extravaganza titled Chains of the Past, featuring pirouettes symbolizing redlining and a dramatic collapse to represent the fall of capitalism. But it doesn't stop there. Nightshade brings along vegan activist choir, 20 solemn singers in burlap robes, belting out protest anthems like Oh Soylent Night and reimagined Sweet Chariot with lyrics dismantling factory farms. The elderly, confused and clutching their bingo cards, are then handed pamphlets titled Repent, Grandma, a guide to atoning for your privilege. Accountability is ageless, Nightshade declares, striking a pose that accidentally knocks over a tray of sugar-free Jell-O cups. And then we go to expert number 4. This is Dr. Ember Starlight, racial equity alchemist, poop sourcing savant, and guilt ritual high priestess. Mark, I want to check in on you and I'm just wondering how you're doing.
Poop sourcing?
Poop sourcing savant. Is there a problem?
No, I'm just
Go away. Just go. I'm going to go to Ember Starlight. This is Dr. Ember Starlight's advice is so outlandish it could only be described as performance art. She urges white listeners to smear poop on their faces as an act of penance for America's sins. But this isn't your garden variety excrement. No, no. This poop must be sourced from free-range organic pasture-raised animals, preferably alpacas or heritage breed chickens rescued from factory farms and living their best lives on a co-op sanctuary. The application process is a full-on ritual. Light sage smudge sticks, don a robe made from recycled yoga mats, and chant affirmations like, I am the colonizer, and I am sorry, while slathering the poop across your cheeks. It's embodying your shame, Dr. Starlight explains. For added absurdity, she suggests hosting a poop solidarity circle where participants sit cross-legged in a field, faces smeared, and share tearful confessions about their ancestors' misdeeds. Bonus points if you live stream it on TikTok with the hashtag Poop for Justice. This is how we heal. This is how we heal. And then, of course, expert number 5 is Reverend Zephyr Cloud Whisper, eco-spiritual shaman, anti-fireworks crusader, and crystal grid architect. New to the lineup is a wild-eyed mystic who believes fireworks are a capitalist conspiracy to drown out the Earth's cries. Their solution? Stage a silent crystal vigil at the exact moment your neighbors launch their pyrotechnics. Gather a coven of minded souls, clad in flowing robes dyed with turmeric and beetroot, and arrange a grid of ethically mined quartz crystals in the shape of gigantic peace sign. Hum at a frequency of 432 hertz, the healing tone of the universe, to counteract violent vibrations of explosions. Fireworks are patriarchy's scream. Clutching a fistful of sage, we must whisper back with love. He also suggests releasing biodegradable balloons filled with glitter and affirmations into the night sky. But at the same time, you do also realize they're problematic, promoting an on-air meltdown about their own hypocrisy. Forgive me, Mother Gaia, they wail, collapsing into a pile of crystals. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this segment of Common Ground. I'm your I'm your co-host.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah.
Eleanor Gracist. And Mark, I just hope that your audience appreciates me coming into studio. I haven't been here in a while because I get a lot of mean comments.
Who's being mean?
Ridicule for the experts I bring on at work. Really?
I know. Okay, who's being mean to you, Dr. Gracist? I want to know who's being mean
Everybody.
to you.
Somebody just commented.
Did they really? Okay, well, I just want you to know that we're not going to be tolerant of people being mean to you. You're one of our favorite guests. We love you. By the way, Roger, you've made an impression on him. I mean, he's never been the same.
Roger.
Okay, well, listen.
Just don't do it, Mark.
Okay, well, I just think that there's nothing wrong with having a little, I don't know what you're talking. As long as it's after hours, we don't care what Roger does with his free time. And
I just hope everybody really hears the reasons why I came on your show today.
I think they did. I think
they're going to be popping fireworks.
Yeah, I know.
Grilling burgers.
Now, are you? Did you take your? She's gone. She's gone. Travis, she's gone. I don't know what happened there. I'm obviously not in the office. I hope everything is okay. I hope that Travis, I don't think she's taking her meds. She it reminds me of two of my ex-wives.
I don't know what the hell just
what happened. Are you okay?
So close to my damn face.
I don't know what happened there, dude, but
that was odd. That was a weird one.
But you know what?
Look, folks, we like to bring. Hey, I can't hear you. Hang on. Oh God, the music still. See what happens when Roger takes off like that?
Yeah, that's
not ideal.
Not ideal. No,
not an ideal situation.
Dr. Grace. I don't think she took her meds, dude. I really don't. I think in the future you need to somehow or another need to verify that she has taken. I don't know how many meds she's on. I'm sure lithium is in there. Some other ones, Zoloft, some Ambien. We can go down the whole list. Believe me, I've had experience with this. But somebody needs to make sure she gets her
Hey,
meds.
were you commenting from the Defiance Daily Show page? I'm just
I
curious.
tried to. I was wanting to see.
Yeah.
y-
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it worked out pretty good. But look, for the folks that are in New York that are burning American flags and you're waving other countries' flags, that segment was for you. That was specifically for
I have a comment for him.
people who can't. What's that?
Fuck you.
Yeah. I almost did something stupid. What we did before we were on air with the whole,
Oh yeah. No, we can't do
no,
that.
don't do that.
It's
Yeah,
coming.
but
It's just a
she
matter of
got really
time.
upset because when she got off, I told her, I said, smearing poop across your face, that's like you're
Dude.
doing blackface, right? Isn't that kind of she didn't like that. I said, you probably
You
don't want to
called
bring
her
that
out. I
extra
didn't even
on.
think about that, but that's true.
She got really upset by that. And she was already, I don't know what you said to her. I just saw her hair flying everywhere, and then she kind of stormed out.
Yeah,
Um,
I brought up Roger, and I just said, "Hey, look,
oh,
we
that's
don't care what Roger does after hours, even if he wants a little, you know." I don't know. I just know that Roger, little, little
Yeah.
Rogering. So I don't really know how that works in their case, but Roger's never been the same. And she did get a little animated after I brought Roger up. So I think there's something else
happened
going
there.
on. Yeah, there's something else going on there.
Well, folks, I do appreciate everybody who tuned in today for our July 4th Independence Day special.
Yes.
Glad you can make it. I hope everybody's being safe out there, enjoying your much needed time off and spending time with your family and your friends and hanging out and doing what we do and grill some burgers, hang out, pop some fireworks. I don't know about Cricket Loaf.
I
don't know about Cricket
yeah,
Loaf.
I was
know
listening
about
to her
I
list.
never heard a suggestion that sounded appealing, like the larvae milk smoothies.
Yeah, cricket loaf. I was thinking, how does that is compared to olive loaf? I'm not an olive loaf guy, dude. Now you probably are because you like Vienna sausages.
Well,
You're probably
if
a big
olive loaf has
guy.
something to do with, then yeah, I'd probably like it.
Oh no, I think you'd be all over olive loaf. Actually, Travis, I think that'd be a big hit for you. But for the rest of us normal people, no. So don't discount the cricket larvae. You might like it, bro.
I won't discount it.
You know,
I'll give it a shot. I always give
add it to your deviled eggs.
pretty good.
You never know. Maybe it might give it a little texture. You know what I'm saying? A little
texture.
Well, the outside, they're an ectoskeleton. So I'm thinking if you're eating crickets, you're eating the whole thing, right? So
Right.
you're getting some of the crunch. It's like a Rice Krispie snack without the rice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
No, I'll give it a shot. I don't know.
You're
about
brave,
any of
dude.
Eleanor's,
You're brave. Maybe we
know
should
about
have a show
suggestions.
where you're eating them live and trying them.
Yeah, I could do that.
Because
I'll do that if you try one of these bags of crickets, sour cream and onion crickets.
No. You're gonna eat the crickets. That's what I'm saying. No, you're gonna.
If I eat a cricket, you're eating Vienna sausage.
I don't.
Why do I get
like
to be
that.
the guinea pig?
You're not a guinea pig.
We're co-hosts together, man.
No.
We're in this together.
No.
If I eat crickets, you eat wiener.
No.
That's the deal, man.
No. You've already proven
What
that
you
if
signed
you
up
eat
for, man.
Vienna sausage, that you'll eat anything. I'm on a very limited, restricted diet, and you know that. And this is for health reasons. Okay. Steak and
it's
eggs
carnivore
and chicken only.
Vienna sausage is carnivore.
No, it's not. There's all kinds of fillers and nasty. It's just nasty. No, it's not on the list. It's not. It's not on my Gary Brecka list of approved foods. No,
I think you're just being a puss.
No. Actually, not. No, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. So,
Well, look, we're digressing here. I do want everybody to enjoy their day today. I appreciate everybody bearing with the segment with Eleanor Gracist. We like to
God
have
bless
fun
her.
here on the Defiance Daily Show and bring in some wackos every now and then. And there's some other experts. Some of the
We bring her purpose.
they haven't met
Travis.
Vagina Vortex.
No, and they
She
need
is a hardcore.
which I
opinion
affectionately call her
activist,
Pussy
call it.
Tornado.
What?
I call her I call her Pussy Tornado because her name is Virginia
Vagina. I mean,
Vagina
she
Vortex.
got mad because we called her Vagina Vortex when she got.
Well,
on
yeah.
or
Oh, so it's
something like that.
Vagina Vortex. That's what I say. I call her Pussy Tornado. I've not seen her, so maybe I probably shouldn't call her that.
Probably not.
But
Probably not.
you know,
Well, we'll save her. She's a special character. She does not want to come anywhere near the studio, but I feel like you give her a microphone for at least 10 minutes, you know, she'll probably say something that
she'll show up.
will go viral.
Is she afraid of Roger?
No, for some reason I don't know, like Eleanor's not afraid of Roger at all. She's actually kind of dominating when she's around.
I think, dude, did you see the little crop she was carrying?
Mm,
The little
mhm.
crop, yeah, the little tassels on the end.
Yeah, something going on there.
Yeah, there's something going on.
there.
Yeah.
But folks, we really appreciate you joining the Defiance Daily Show today on this Independence Day on your day off. We had a good crowd today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to visit defiancepress.com. None of this is possible without your support. If you're thinking about writing a book, if you have a manuscript, please reach out to defiancepress.com and give a shout to Mark. That's Mark at defiancepress.com. If you have any questions, again, that's Mark at defiancepress.com. And I can't go a show without stating the obvious, which is none of this is possible without the man behind this, which is David Thomas Roberts. That's my pops right there. Anniversary of his death was last week, so it's been a little tough these past couple weeks, but you know we continue honoring him. We continue having fun in his name. I was listening to a lot of Hank Williams, a lot of Bo Cephas this morning in family tradition on the way to work. Got me in positive spirits, and that's my mama there, Rose Roberts. And
Hi,
none
Rose.
of this is possible without these two. Hi, Mom. And yeah, just very proud to keep this going and keep things going in his name. So
Amen.
very, very happy to be. I am curious about what he'd think about Eleanor Grace.
Oh, you know, he'd love that.
So yeah, but again, you're watching the Defiance Daily Show. So with that, happy Independence Day, and we will bid you adieu. Mark, go ahead and sign them off.
God bless you guys. Stay armed, stay vigilant, fight for freedom. Don't take no shit off any commies. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you next week on the Defiance Daily Show with Roberts and Pruitt.
We'll see you next week on the Defiance Daily Show. Stay humble, stay reliable, and always be ready. God bless you all. Thank you.